Make no mistake about it, we are quickly approaching a catastrophic economic collapse. Before you dismiss this as hype or paranoia, take a few minutes to review the facts outlined in this short video. The numbers don't lie. At this point, the dollar crash is unavoidable. Far from exaggeration, this is a mathematical certainty. As repelling as it sounds, it's in your best interest to learn just how bad the situation is and realize there are things you can do to protect yourself. According to the talking heads of mainstream media, the economy is slowly recovering, and the financial crisis is all but behind us. But we need a reality check. It's time to stop being naive and start being more discerning. Instead of more false hope, we need the truth, as bitter as it sounds. And the truth is, from our local constituents, that our states to our federal government, the US is broke. The truth is, they can't pay back their debt without getting into more debt. The truth is, the housing crisis of 2008 was just a small preview of what is to come. America is drowning in debt. The government's liabilities are now growing to an exponential rate. The national debt is on a vicious downward spiral. To their detriment, the government continues to pretend they can borrow their way out of debt, and only a handful of politicians are willing to admit that the nation is now bankrupt. Contrary to rhetorics coming out of Washington, no tax hike or budget cuts will get us out of the mess. The kind of measures that would actually bring about meaningful change to curb the financial collapse are deemed too severe to even be considered. Right now, the US has $16 trillion of debt. So what? But $16 trillion is certainly a lot of money, but most people usually don't deal with that amount of zeros in their life. It's hard to really appreciate almost unfathomable sum and dire consequences it represents for us. But to understand how deep of a hole the government is in, we need to grasp the enormity of this dollar amount. So how big is just 1 trillion? Here we have a few helpful illustrations. If you had $1 trillion $10 bills, you tape them end to end, your money ribbon will become so long that you would actually be able to wrap it round planet Earth more than 380 times. That's right. But that amount of money would still not be enough to pay off the US national debt. If you look at the amount of debt, you can see a direct parallel between the explosion of debt, the US switching to fiat currency in 1971. Once the Fed could create dollars out of nothing, it took only a few years for the government debt to gain exponential climb rate. Now on the surface, the Federal Reserve's ability to print money with no restrictions might sound good, since you can just create a new currency on demand, but it carries with it one grave consequence. That is inflation. Violent inflation, and we are already starting to see its effect. But it will get worse. Each time the Fed issues new dollars, it increases the money supply, which in turn diminishes the value of the rest of the dollars already in circulation. Basically, this means the more dollars that are printed, the less they are worth. As inflation rises, so do prices and the cost of living. Inflation also encourages spending and debt, and discourages saving and capital formation. In the long run, currency inflation wipes out the wealth of the middle class and also wrecks the economy. By the way, the dollar has lost 95%, yes, 95% of its value since the Federal Reserve took over in 1913. With commodities like food and oil still trading in weakening dollars, it puts further pressure on the soaring prices of these essentials. All signs seem to indicate that the cost of living in dollar-based economies will likely rise dramatically in 2013 and beyond. But even though these people are spreading doom and gloom, there really are 10 things you can do right now that will help you survive economic fluctuations and even a full-blown collapse. Step 1. Invest in precious metals. Gold and silver are quite bullish right now. The panic buying has not even begun. Gold and silver are likely to go increasingly higher over the next few years, and many opportunities will present themselves in these areas. Step 2. Don't just invest, Really know and understand what you need to do. Get educated, stock up on some survival manuals and make sure you read them entirely. Stay focused on networking within your community. That's how people get through the tough times. That's how people got through the last Great Depression, and it's how we'll get through another Great Depression, which is on the way and will actually be much worse this time around. Step 3. Have plenty of food. This sounds obvious, but counting on your local grocery store to stay stocked up with fresh, healthy choices is a luxury, and we often take this for granted. You will need to keep a collection of non-perishable food items in your home. It's a must. Step 4. Share information, DVDs, books, YouTube videos, just like this one. Wherever you find helpful information, they'll keep you enlightened and help ensure you don't overlook anything you may have taken for granted in more prosperous times. Step 5. Confirm that you have a steady supply of untainted water. Don't assume that fresh water is abundant. Thirst will kill you faster than anything else you'll have to worry about. So get smart, have a plan, and drink fresh. Step 6. Make the switch to alternative energy. Solar power could save you tons of money. Even if you don't need electricity, you will need radios, some sort of light, and refrigeration. You've got to think about the long-term advantages of utilizing better sources like free energy, alternative energy from waves already in the air. Step 7. Grow a garden. Find a fellow gardener and make some mutually beneficial relationships. Self-sufficiency will be key for survival. Plus your neighbours will want your veggies, so you'll probably be taken care of pretty well should you need anything. Step 8. Think outside the box. Know what will make you useful to society. Make sacrifices to ensure you have what you need now and also in the future, not just what you need impulsively. Step 9. Be safe. This means you want to consider owning weapons for self-defense. With all the rioting around the global already, surely it's a sign of what is to come when things really hit rock bottom. Be prepared, stay prepared. And last but not least, step 10. Start collecting these items right now. If you wait until the disaster hits, you're already too late. It's time to face the cold hard facts. You won't be able to rely on your current currency forever. Therefore, you must act quickly and get your hands on precious metals before prices jump up into the thousands. Hedge against inflation and make sure you've got something valuable when things really get going. When you do that, you start knocking off other essential items on your list, you'll feel much better, and nothing is worth more than a sense of security and safety for you and your loved ones. Be kind, be generous, give, and you will receive. Please connect the dots and think for yourself. Every Ponzi scheme ends inevitably.